Hi there guys, this is Cassandra. I'm a Riffle in Time and I'm so glad you're here. Today we are doing the top pairs of 2024 for the second time today. I am re-recording this video and hopefully this time we have audio and there's no chaos. This is technically the third time I've recorded this video total, as the first time I tried to do overhead and my standing desk will not allow without too much shaking. So the third time's a charm, right? It's okay because I love these pairs and I love to talk about them, but you know, like, we're friends and I really want to share these with you because I'm working really hard for this one. It's cool though because I figured out kind of the way I want to go about showing you these. So I have 4 actual pairs. I did one kind of for the beginning of the year, middle, end, and then my pretty much my top pair that I used all year round, and it was pretty consistent throughout the whole year. I also have 2 bonuses that isn't technically a pair, but it's a pairing. It's 4 decks together. Both of them are a pair, like 4s, which is a little chaos, a little crazy. Not everybody likes to use like multiple decks together, but I really loved them and I had to share them because I love them so much. I will start though with that kind of winter to spring pair. So I would say December to April I used this. I will show you the boxes actually since I have them when they're ready here. Sorry if I hurt you there. We have the Ritual Tarot and the Devas of Creation. Now, if you've been around, you know that the Devas of Creation was a deck that last year I was going to make sure I used because I didn't want to just have it sitting around, you know. It's one of those decks, like, it was just on my shelf and I couldn't figure a reason why I wasn't pulling for it, so I made a space for it in my collection and in my practice, I guess, more accurately. And I did my month ahead reading with it every month. And I found that almost every time I had to pull this out. And then there were times where I wasn't doing that reading and I was still pulling it out. So it did what I needed it to do. And I think because I really loved this pair so well together is why I ended up using the Devas more too. So like it did me good. Now, what I think I love about this pair so much is something about the collage and this kind of painting, real abstract. They're abstract in different ways. I guess I don't know how else to explain that. They're abstract in different ways and in ways that I really enjoy. So not only that, these both give me, it's more about feelings than it is about precisely what I'm reading. And I guess that's really the abstract of it all. I read the cards by the feelings and the colors, and it just feels so special. And this is actually, it's one of my favorite cards. It's just, to me, so beautiful. I don't know if you can see the texture, and then you can kind of see a face here, like a figure. I think it's so beautiful. I think also the color palette really plays really well together. It's like that last one that really pops out the green. And I had that happen a lot where like the colors were like found in each other. And they're both like really, I don't want to say profound, but I guess like the readings, it was like profound readings. It wasn't like a daily card pull kind of situation. It was like, if I'm doing a reading, like I want to get in there and scrape out the inside of my pumpkin, you know, of my soul. No one knows what I'm talking about, but I do. It really was just like, and that's why I use Ritual so much in the winter kind of time anyways. That's my deep, dark dive into, you know, the dark night of the soul usually. And what better to use than like a deck like that? I don't know. So that was like my first pair of the year. I'm gonna try to be good and put these away as we go. Next, I went straight, like soon as the color hit the flowers, you know what I mean? I went straight for it. And the next two, we have the Gentle Tarot. This is the pocket edition that comes in the little 10. But we also have the Extraordinary Incantations. That's upside down. But these two together, oh gosh, it makes me so happy. Where our last pair is like deep and dark and emotional and like this other kind of way, this is like bright and happy and emotional, but again, in another kind of way. And I love how the energies of these decks are both, the creator is so like embedded and imbued in these decks that when I use them together, I'm so happy. I love Maria, I love Chingay, and it was just like, it's just so good. I actually use this a ton for myself, but also sometimes I would get readings where people are like, you know, you pick the deck, dealer pick. I usually do like, you pick your own decks that you want me to use, but it was really cool because I snuck this in a lot for other people, and they also really loved. It was like loving and gentle and supportive with like a little bit of, you know, a little bit of a kick, but it was just one of those like perfect, if you're doing like, if you're pulling cards for like trying to like, I don't want to say self-improvement. Every time I think self-improvement, I think of a quote from Fight Club, and I won't say that on here for everyone else's sake, but I think if you're using tarot in a way that it's like not as divinatory and it's more about like reflection and intention and like healing and growing and those kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're using it in a really reflective, like I need somebody to love and support me kind of way, and I want to love and support myself, and these are tools to do that and to make better choices, and you know what I mean, have some affirmations and all that good stuff. These are the decks. So that's, I guess, the vibe I'm trying to set. I hope you feel it. They just feel so good together. Now, I also love it with the pocket edition because the size is perfect. The like linen edition still looks really great. The full size edition still looks really great, but I think there's just something about them both being so cute and little together. They're literally almost the same size. I think the pocket's just a little smaller. But to the untrained eye, I don't know why I put that there. What am I doing? Next up, so we went from kind of winter to spring, spring through summer. When we were going from like the end of summer, so pretty much fall to winter, like maybe the end of summer, fall to winter. So actually, we'll stick with showing boxes. This is Heartwood and Thistledown. Now I would like to say I very frequently add in Oak, Ash, and Thorn in the center and have these kind of both on the side, but I cannot fit a deck in between it and hold them, so. And also, like, these two together, I think are really enough. This pair is kind of sometimes like when you're using decks from the same creator, it can feel really obvious. That's like, of course that's a pair, but I don't think that's always true. Now I do think this one is really nicely, like it's the same creator, same illustrator. They're obviously like the vision is there. And the decks from like Three Treats Tarot decks in general kind of follow this feelings, but these two I feel like really just play so well off of each other. And where like sometimes I'm pulling a card as like a clarifier, sometimes I'm doing it as like the theme, the intention of the reading, something to like do after. There's like different reasons. This feels like an amplifier. Like it feels like it makes the message deeper, louder, more important. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. There are times, different ways and reasons I do pairings, I guess. And that feels like the reason I do this pairing is really because I think it makes the message deeper, again, deeper, louder, clearer, everything about it. It's just like they really harmonize together. Now, the final pair, where it's just 2 decks, I will explain the difference, because these 2 decks, it's not as much about amplifying the same message. Like, it's not an in unison message as much as it's a balance. Like, it's 2 pieces that are better together than separate. Like, it's definitely like they're both pieces of the message. It's not the same message, but like bigger. It's like 2 parts to make one. This is my pair of the year. This is the one I used from the end of last year to the end of this year. This is Somnia and Janosa Jaus, and I have talked about this recently, I think in my top 10 tarot deck video. I live for this pair. Now, I'm going to show you is a trimmed copy of both pairs, so they're not going to look like this. Also, this version of Janosa Jaus is like maybe 2nd edition, 3rd edition, I'm not sure, but I'm not even sure if there's an like available edition, so I'm sorry. This is a trimmed copy, also again, of Somnia, so these cards don't look exactly like you would find them, unfortunately, but ever since I trimmed them, I've been in love. And there's something about taking off the titles. It wasn't just about the borders for me. It was about the titles too. If you don't know, this is in a different language, the Jonasa. And then also there was something really distracting for me about the borders for Somnia. And it made it like, both of them were like really big too. And I couldn't physically use them as well. So one, practicality. They're more usable for me, but also one of the things, Somnia is like Ritual is for me, where it's a deeper, darker deck. I use it in the winter time and the like fall time. But to balance it out, Jonasa is my like, especially it's a really good for me transitional deck, but it shows spring and summer and also kind of like the liminal spaces between. Something about the colors, like together, they're not just each of the seasons, but also the liminal spaces in between, like where they're trading between. And they're my moody decks. I say that like there's something about them. It's very moody, and the color like still meld together. I think I said this was like it's kind of really, it's this is my air and water, and this is my like fire, and so wands, pentacles, and you know what I'm saying, right? I have all the elements here is what I'm saying. And just really, it does it for me. Gosh, I love it. Every time I look at it, I'm like, I have to use this right now. Isn't that what like your #1 pair for the year would be? It's just so good to me. That is definitely like my #1 for the year. We do have, though, 8 decks that you're about to see. And these are just my specials. These were whole events, though, because I'm not always going to be doing whole events. So 2 decks together is a quick, easy reading. You know, I can do that. This is like a whole shebang. I'm only pulling this out when I have time to pull out 4 decks at once and do them all together. It's like I'm writing this down kind of reading, because like we're diving in. But what I love about this first one is I can interchange any of these decks together, and I can still do that 2 that I'm looking for. I can keep them all 4. I could do whatever I want. But I wish I could show you them. Here, actually, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. This is where I can do this, or this, or this, or this, and I still love it. but all together, it's like, especially having like these two on the outside, the two color, like kind of more, not blank, or it's not, and it's like the word for it I'm looking for. It's like not illustrated, but like there's always a word that's like on the tip of my tongue. And I remember every time, like when it's not relevant, you know, a couple hours from now, I'll remember what I'm trying to say. But what I love about these is that kind of being able to mix and match them, and having these really illustrated cards that are like colorful. The art is very its own kind of art style. I really love them. Like these guys are beautiful. These guys are also, to me though, equally beautiful, though they're like more plain colors, and it's more about the words and the color, and less about like reading it intuitively, I guess, as an image. These ones are really cool because they build all on top of each other, I guess. Like when I say that I can do them all together, or I can do them like one at a time, two at a time, three at a time, it's like, how much do I want to build into here? How much do I want to weave these? And I don't know, it just feels so cool. I also love like the color is really like what the whole the whole pairing is about, and they just, what's the word I'm looking for? So when I'm reading these together, like I'm also being very aware of like the colors that kind of are similar, that they share. It feels really like I will start reading that together. It's like if these two cards are, and so these two cards and these two cards, like I'm reading this is a pair and this is a pair. Even if I'm doing all at 4, I realize like these guys are kind of melding together in color, and these are too. So these kind of, I'm reading these two and then kind of combining them into 4. But I really, really love these. Also, if you didn't catch there, that Circo Tarot is on the table. This is my very first deck. It is a deck that I haven't used since pretty much the first year, maybe second year I had it. And it brought it back out, and that in itself is amazing. I got to like reconnect to a deck that I spent a very long time away from, and it felt beautiful, and I loved it so much. I'm so happy that I kept it, and that I'm like able to approach it as like a different reader than I was then. And this pair is just like delicious to me. So since I did not share the names, we had the Color Vision, which is really cool deck that doesn't just focus on like individual colors. There's individual colored cards, but there's also these like multicolor that are like kind of like emotion or like a bigger theme or concept based, which I really enjoy. Then we have obviously the 2 tarot decks. We have the Circo Tarot, which is unfortunately out of print, and then we have the Playful Heart, which is back in print, I believe. And then we have Spreadcrafters, which I'm sorry I've been showing so much lately, but it is also out of print, but it's just delightful and gorgeous and beautiful. And my absolute hope in life is after some time away, this comes back. And if you can, at a reasonable price though, get a copy of it. I love that deck. I love it, I love it, I love it. Last but certainly not least, this is my version of a creator collab. So I have 2 decks from one creator and 2 decks from another. And this really stems from this year. There was a live I watched here on TarotTube, and it was about, I cannot remember who was there or exactly. It was so long ago now, it feels like, but the idea was like unpopular opinion, like what decks do you not like? And I'll have to look it up. It's like right at the tip of my tongue too, whose channel that was. Maybe I'll remember what. But we were talking about, I in the chat was talking about how I love like the ugly decks that they, like there's someone was talking about the decks being ugly, like Reclaim. And I was like, I love Reclaim and I love Outgrow Yourself. And like these decks themselves, some people really obviously don't enjoy like the different kind of body style and just like they're more like abstract-y and different, obviously, and I love that about them. So I was like, these are kind of my type of decks. I really enjoy this. And I realized, I'm like, what if, you know, I say all the time, like, I love Outgrow Yourself, I love Reclaim, like these types of decks, they also have, the creator also has another deck. And so I grabbed them out because I have them all. So I have Elvine, which comes from the same creator as Outgrow Yourself, and then I have Lilifer, Reclaim, and I read with them all together. And it's cool because these guys share that like black background, so that's like really easy for them just, again, at base level to pair up. Then we have this like pink, black and pink sharing here with Reclaim and Elvine. And then you have this white background pairing. Oh gosh, and this is why we need more table room. And that does something for me. But then even you get in here and like the colors from Outgrow Yourself and Reclaim, like they have more of that kind of pop of color, really work for me. And I think aesthetically, they all just, whatever they do it. But then since they're like, the themes feel like they stack. Things feel like they stacked here. And it was another one of those, like, I felt like I was building something with this that was greater than its parts. And it's like building them together and figuring out which cards really kind of play together and don't. And I think it's so cool. Love the layers. I love croissants. I love being able to play with them all together. And I think their energy is so right. And it lets me use 4 of like some of my favorite decks. Like these are my favorite. I think actually all 4 of them were in my tops this year because they're so good. I just love them. This wasn't as probably sense making as my first one was. I'm a little tired, and you think the second time around talking about something I would make more sense, but once I say it, it's gone. I have no idea what I've said. It just comes out of my body and then we're done. I love you. I love these decks, and I hope you love my pairs.